Hello everyone. Today we will try to find out differences between displacement and distance. In my previous video, I have explained you about distance and displacement. What is distance? What is displacement? Suppose an object starts from O. O is the origin, and he travels and reaches, A, passing through B and C. Okay, let the distance from O to A be 60 kilometers, and then let this be 25 kilometers. Sorry, let this be 25. Let this be 35 kilometers. So, suppose we want to know what is distance. I told you the actual path, the total path traveled by the object during its motion is called distance. Suppose an object travels from O to A. After reaching A, he returns back and comes to C. That is the total path traveled by the object. This is known as distance. So, now you want to know what is distance. Distance is 60 kilometers plus 60 minus 25. 60 minus 25 how much? That is plus 35. That is equal to 95 kilometers. This is the distance, the total path, the actual path traveled by the object during its motion is called distance. Distance has no specific direction. It will go from O to A, come back to O, from O to A to C. That is actual path, total path traveled by the object is called distance. In distance there is no specific direction. It has only numerical value. It has only magnitude. In my previous class I told you what is magnitude. The numerical representation of a physical quantity is called magnitude. 95 is the numerical value. This is called magnitude. Kilometer is the unit of distance. So distance has no specific direction. It has only magnitude. I have traveled a distance of 200 kilometers. That is, magnitude. We are talking in terms of magnitude. Distance, we talk in terms of magnitude. What is magnitude? The numerical value. Now, I start from Khammam. I go to Kodar. From Kodar, I go to Suryapet. From Suryapet, I go to Hyderabad. That is the total path I am traveling. That is called distance. It has no specific direction. Suppose I am traveling from Khammam to Kodar in a specific direction. That is called displacement. If an object travels from initial point to the final point in a definite direction, then you name it as displacement. That is the difference between distance and displacement. Distance has only magnitude. Displacement has both the magnitude and direction. For example, the object travels from O to A and return back from A to C through B. Then if we are trying to calculate the displacement, we don't calculate 60 plus. We calculate what? Only from O to C. That is 25 kilometers. This is called displacement. The shortest distance traveled by the object from initial point to final point in a definite direction is called displacement. In my previous video, I have clearly explained, if a student goes from home to school, 1 kilometer, that is, he's traveling from home to, school. In a definite direction he is moving. It has magnitude, 1 kilometer, and direction. That's why that is called displacement. Suppose a student travels, starting from home, goes to post office, after that he goes to stationery shop, after that he goes to restaurant, from restaurant he goes to pick his friend, and from there he goes to school. That is the total path. That is called distance. Now, we will try to figure out the main differences between distance and displacement. You can see from here, this is displacement, children. You can see distance is 95 kilometer, displacement is 25 kilometer. Distance is always greater than displacement. Distance is always greater than displacement. For a moving object, when an object moves, distance is always greater than displacement. In only one condition, distance and displacement are equal. What is that? When magnitude of distance and displacement are, I am talking magnitude. Displacement has both the magnitude and direction. Here, when the magnitude of distance and displacement are equal. Listen here. An object starts from home, reaches A, travel a distance of 60 kilometer. In this, the object is traveling O to A in a definite direction. Is traveling in a definite direction. When an object travels in a straight line from initial point to final point, in that case only the magnitude of distance and displacement are equal. When an object travels in a straight line. Suppose if I move from home to school, then maybe 500 meter. In that case, I'm moving in a straight line from home to school. In that case only, distance and displacement are equal. Distance, the magnitude of distance and displacement are equal only and only an object travels in a shortest distance in a straight line. Shortest distance in a straight line. Then in that case, the magnitude of distance and displacement are equal. Otherwise, in this case, an object travel from O to A, come back to C. In that case, distance is always greater than displacement. Now we will figure out the other differences. Distance is a scalar quantity. Why it is a scalar? What is a scalar quantity? A physical quantity which has only magnitude, no direction. That is called scalar quantity. Distance also has only magnitude, 95 kilometer. 100 kilometers I travel 200 kilometers. That is magnitude. Distance has only magnitude. That's why it is a scalar quantity. Displacement is a vector quantity. What is a vector quantity? Physical quantity which has both the magnitude and direction. It is called a vector quantity. Displacement is a vector quantity. Why? Because what is displacement? The shortest distance traveled by an object from initial point to the final point in a definite direction is called displacement. That's why displacements come under the domain of vector quantity, whereas distance is a scalar quantity. What is a scalar quantity? It has only magnitude, no direction. Displacement has both the magnitude and direction. Okay, now children? No. So distance is a scalar quantity, displacement is a vector quantity. The actual path traveled by an object in a different direction is called distance, and the shortest distance traveled by an object from initial point to final point in a definite direction is called displacement. And when distance and displacement are equal, when an object travels a short distance in a straight line. For a moving object, an object is moving, distance cannot be zero, it cannot be negative. Distance cannot be zero, cannot be negative for a moving object. It is always positive. I cannot say I have traveled a distance of minus 25 kilometers. I have traveled a distance of 0 kilometer. What is that statement? It's incorrect. Distance is a scalar quantity. A moving object, distance cannot be zero for a moving object. it cannot be negative. It is always positive. But for displacement, a moving object, displacement can be negative. Displacement can be positive. Displacement can be zero. How displacement is positive? How displacement is negative? And how displacement can be zero? Distance cannot be zero, cannot be negative. For a moving object, it is always positive. Displacement can be zero, can be negative, can be positive for a moving object. How is that? Let us try to understand. If you are starting from initial point O, reaches final point A and travel a distance of maybe 2 kilometers. Okay, this is positive distance. And after that you are returning from A to O again, return back to its original point. This is negative distance. This is O to A is positive distance, displacement, and A to O is negative displacement. So in this case, positive displacement, negative displacement. So for a moving object, displacement can be positive. If it is moving from O to A, that is positive displacement. Again, it is returning back to its original point. That is negative displacement. And what is zero displacement? Displacement can be zero for a moving object when an object comes back to its initial. This is the initial point. This is the final point. When you are returning back, then this will become initial point. This will become final point. When initial point and final point coincide with each other, then your displacement is zero. What is positive displacement? Plus 2 kilometer. What is negative displacement? Returning back, minus 2 kilometer. So initial point, and whenever initial point and final point coincide with each other, plus 2 kilometer, minus 2 kilometer, you get cancelled. You get what? Zero. So displacement can be zero for a moving object. When this happens, when initial point and the final point of a moving object coincide with each other. For example, you students start from your home, go to school, positive displacement, and from school you come back to home, that is negative displacement. When you come back to home, your initial point and final point coincide with each other. Then that time your displacement will be zero. Initial point, home. Final point, school. When you are going. When you are coming back, initial point is your school, final point is your home. So here at home, when you come back, starting from home, going to school, and again starting from school, coming back to home. So here initial point and final point coincide with each other. Then displacement is zero. Take a piece of chalk. This is initial point. Throw it. It reaches some height, final point. And again, when it's coming back, that is initial point. And when it comes back, final point. So on the ground, initial and final point coincide. When I throw a piece of chalk, it goes up and comes down to the earth. What is the displacement? Zero. Why displacement is zero? Because initial point and final point coincide with each other. I throw this piece of chalk. It goes 1 kilometer up, maybe 150 meter up. And after reaching some height, maximum height, it comes back. 50 meter for going, 50 meter for coming. Distance. What is distance? Distance is 100 kilometer. Whereas displacement is 0 kilometer. One more thing. So distance for a moving object cannot be zero, cannot be negative. It is always positive. Displacement for a moving object can be zero, can be negative, can be positive. I hope you understood that. One more difference we'll try to know. See, distance can be added by simple arithmetic. I travel a distance of 30 kilometer, 60 kilometer to Surya Pe. From Suryapet I travel to Koda 30 kilometer. From Koda I travel to Vijayawada 60 kilometer. Like this, distance can be added by simple arithmetic. 60 plus 30 plus like this, 60 plus 35, 95 kilometer. It can be added easy by simple arithmetic. Whereas distance is a scalar quantity. Scalar quantities can be added. Whereas vector quantity, displacement is a vector quantity. We cannot add the vector quantities. How can we add these vector quantities? There is a method I will explain you when I teach you numerical problem, how to add the vector quantities. With the help of example, we'll try to understand. So you can simply, for now, you can understand scalar quantities can be added by simple arithmetic, whereas vector quantities cannot be added by simple arithmetic, but they can be added by method of addition of vectors. Addition of vector is a method of adding vector quantities. This we will try to learn in our next coming classes. Till then, please have patience. So at this moment of time, we are trying to find out differences between distance and displacement. In figuring out the differences between distance and displacement, we are trying to learn scalar quantities, vector quantity. Differences of scalar and vector quantities are the differences of distance and displacement. Whatever I am talking, scalar quantity, which has only magnitude, no direction. Vector quantity, it has both the magnitude and direction. Example of scalar quantity, you can say distance, length, mass, time, temperature, all these are scalar quantity which has only magnitude, no direction. Whereas vector quantities, it has both the magnitude and direction. For example, distance, for example, velocity, acceleration. These are all examples of vector quantities. They have both the magnitude and directions. So, in this class, children, we have learned differences between distance and displacement, scalar quantity. Differences between scalar quantities and vector quantity ultimately are the differences between distance and displacement. Okay, watch out this video carefully again and again. Let us summarize this in a short way. So we have started. When distance and displacement are equal. Distance, the magnitude of distance and displacement are equal when an object travels in a short distance in a straight line. Otherwise, the magnitude of distance and displacement are not equal. The magnitude of distance is always greater than magnitude of displacement. It is equal. The magnitude of distance and displacement are equal only and only if an object travels a short distance in a straight line. Remember this point. For a moving object, distance cannot be 0 and negative. It is always positive. For a moving object, displacement can be 0, can be negative, can be positive. I will just now explain. O to A, positive. Then A to O, negative. It has come back to initial point, final point. When they coincide with each other, your displacement will become 0. Distance can be added by simple arithmetic means. You can add the distance easily, that is scalar quantity. Displacement cannot be added by simple arithmetic, but there is a method of addition of vectors. So these are few differences between distance and displacement. I will give some question assignment, you write notes for that, and I will catch you in my next video. Till then, be safe at home. Thank you very much for watching this video.